We have a shocking update on the Kevin Durant New York Knicks trade reports that have been surrounding the NBA for the last month or so, with the New York Knicks having been revealed in the past to be super interested in Kevin Durant, with him and manager Rich Kleiman trying to find a new team for Durant, while also the Phoenix Suns harbor a ton of interest in Karl-Anthony Towns. And we're going to break all that down. What's up, guys? Welcome back to Knicks Digest. It's Chris here, and we're going to jump right into things as always. If you guys are enjoying the channel, make sure to subscribe if you're part of that 73%. If you're not, and you're part of that 27% that is subscribed to Knicks Digest, thank you so much for all the support. It's been great. You guys are killing it recently. We're getting closer to 18K and overall 20K in general. Thank you so much. But let's jump into the video. There's a lot to go over on the New York Knicks because Kevin Durant is once again in trade talks. This has happened a lot throughout the latter part of his career. Once he got to the Brooklyn Nets, he made it pretty clear he wanted to be there for the rest of his career, and that lasted all of 2.5 years before Durant decided he didn't want to play for the Nets anymore, who had shot themselves in the foot a few different times after acquiring Durant. And since then, he then obviously got traded to the Phoenix Suns. We're now just a year and a half later. Durant is going to be leaving the Phoenix Suns, and he's probably going to be leaving the Phoenix Suns this week. Now, the Knicks were consistently linked to Kevin Durant to try to get him, and it's known that the New York Knicks front office did very much want to bring Kevin Durant in. At the trade deadline last season, we saw the Knicks make an offer, a formal offer, to the Phoenix Suns for Kevin Durant. They wanted him. The Knicks had serious interest and thought they could buy low at him. And if you hear the sirens outside, that is because that is an absolutely crazy report that did come out to be true, according to Shams Charania, who mentioned that. And on top of all that, what we've seen since then is the Knicks stay interested in Kevin Durant. We've seen Durant show interest in the Knicks as well. And now with Durant's trade coming up very soon, we do have multiple reports on Durant. Now, Shams did say that the Miami Heat, San Antonio Spurs, and Houston Rockets are Phoenix Sun stars Kevin Durant's preferred trade destinations. People across the NBA have been made aware in recent days that those are the three teams Durant would commit to a long-term extension with. Durant is open to, or is on an expiring $54.7 million deal for the 2025-26 season. And the Suns have made clear to the 6 to 8 seriously interested teams that they will make the best deal for the franchise, even if it means trading Durant to a team outside of his preferred list. Now, the Knicks not being named here, it's because of one reason and one reason only that Mark Stein revealed, saying Kevin Durant's list of preferred teams to get traded to would have included the New York Knicks, except New York made it clear that it's decided against pursuing a trade for him. So despite the fact that the Knicks did try to trade for Kevin Durant over the regular season at the trade deadline, things changed, and the New York Knicks front office no longer views Kevin Durant as the type of guy that they need to go for. Look, they're absolutely right here. I don't see why they would go for Kevin Durant. Look, if he was still 28, absolutely, but the shot selection is similar to guys we already have on the team. He's not going to provide rim protection. It's not like he's an elite defender. He was at one point on the Warriors, but he's not an elite defender. The offense is, I don't want to say redundant because there's no players in the NBA like Kevin Durant, but the Knicks have enough offense. That's not the problem. Jalen Brunson and Karl-Anthony Towns are both offensive superstars. I mean, Jalen Brunson's one of the best players in the NBA, and he's all offense. You look at guys like Mikal Bridges and OG Anunoby for great defenders. Their offense is also great. You look at the Knicks bench. It's not great offensively, or great. I'm not saying it's terrible. Deuce McBride and Mitchell Robinson are both great players. Or Deuce McBride and Josh Hart, whoever you want to say is coming off the bench. But they need a jolt, and obviously Kevin Durant doesn't fix that problem. So why would the Knicks do the trade? It's becoming more and more likely that the Knicks are not going to be trading for Kevin Durant if they make another major trade throughout this offseason, or they're going to go the route of making some smaller moves and deciding to sign bench pieces, which also is a very viable idea. Now, there is one guy who I would trade for if this was an offseason that we see the Knicks make another big trade. That's Jaren Jackson Jr. I think he makes so much perfect sense for this team. And also the way these contracts all line up, the Knicks would be able to move Mikal Bridges and some pick swaps for Jackson. They could also add in a few more guys, and contracts will also line up so that trade can become more valuable for Memphis if they like that. And a deal like that, I absolutely would make a blockbuster move again. Outside of that, though, I'm more enticed by the idea of bringing on bench pieces, using that mid-level exception to try to do something with it, get a wing or a forward who could score the ball, who can create his own shot, a guy like a Karis LeVert or something, who's a free agent and you could go after and try to land something good with and try to get something going. Go for an Al Horford, something like that, who's a good veteran who gives you more big man depth and will be super helpful for a guy like Ariel Hukporti to have a championship level center just in his ear. So we'll see how that goes down as well, and I think it's going to be interesting to see what the Knicks evidently decide to do here. And we look at just the world, and the sports world is talking a lot about Kevin Durant and the Knicks. I mean, the Miami Heat are in a legitimate pursuit for Kevin Durant, so it becomes that they might offer the biggest deal for KD. There's just so much going on with him. The Raptors and Clippers are talking or really lurking in that Kevin Durant trade sweepstakes as well. And Magic Johnson is saying that he should go to the Knicks, saying the Knicks are too slow. Kevin Durant would allow them to get faster and be a guy that could help Brunson in the fourth quarter. I like Kevin Durant playing with the Knicks. I really do. Well, I don't, Magic. You are the greatest point guard of all time and a top 5 player in NBA history, but I disagree completely. Kevin Durant makes no sense on this Knicks team. And Kevin Durant definitely had interest in landing with the Knicks. It's not that. It's not what's been the issue here. The issue here is the Knicks and their decision-making to not do this. And we know they did have this mutual interest at February's trade deadline with the Knicks making the offer. But what happened was, again, the Knicks front office decided against it. And a report from Tim Bontemps showed that they're right to have decided against it. Now, as we know, Desmond Bane got traded, and Bontemps mentioned that any packages going back to Phoenix that are surrounded with draft picks will likely surpass the haul of draft picks going to Memphis, as unlike Desmond Bane, who's never made an All-Star game, not hating on Desmond Bane, I think he's a phenomenal player, and I really like the way he plays, and I think that was a solid trade for the the Magic, because even though they gave up a lot, Bane fits their team perfectly, he fits exactly what they need, and he really could elevate their winning. It's similar to what the Knicks did for Mikal. They believed it would lead to them winning a lot more games, even if the production alone wouldn't look like it's worth the trade value. And obviously, we'll see how that Bridges trade works out after a few years. Something with Desmond Bane, you can't really call something anything until you're a few years into this experiment and see what happens. So that goes for both teams here. That's something that is important to note. But when it comes down to the Knicks, it's very clear they don't have the assets to trade for Kevin Durant. They just don't. Like, they don't have the draft capital, and the only guy who they would be able to trade for Kevin Durant in any scenario that makes sense for the Suns is Karl-Anthony Towns. The Suns want a big man. Towns and Devin Booker are friends. They played at Kentucky together. They almost went undefeated until the Final Four when they lost to Frank Kaminsky, and I mean, they're just close friends, and Karl-Anthony Towns does fit on the Phoenix Suns. The thing is, why would you trade Karl-Anthony Towns for Kevin Durant? Kevin Durant's turning 37 next season. He's going to be in year 18. He's injury prone. Karl-Anthony Towns just played a season where, knock wood, the man did not get hurt very often. He was there for most of the games. He played through some stuff, but he stayed healthy. He stayed on the floor, and people love to say that Towns is injury prone from the last 2 seasons. Since then and before then, the man was not injury prone. He had 1 year where he missed like 50 some odd games. Outside of that, and that was one injury. Like, outside of that, he's been fine. He's been healthy throughout his career. Again, knock wood, but like, I have a desk that I'm knocking. But it doesn't make sense. It makes no sense to me. I get it. I get how good Kevin Durant is. It's not lost on me. He's putting up 26.6 points per game, 6 rebounds and 4 assists in a lost season for the Phoenix Suns, where he shot 53% from the field and 43% from 3 and over 50% on corner threes. Nobody's denying that Kevin Durant is great. Karl-Anthony Towns, though, also great, and 29 years old. The man put up 24.5 points per game, 13 rebounds, 3 assists, got a steal, shot 42% from 3, and 52% from the field. Karl-Anthony Towns is also phenomenal. Also, he put up 25 and 12 in the Eastern Conference Finals. So we also shut people up about the whole, well, Towns isn't good in the playoffs situation. Because he was good in the playoffs for the Knicks, especially in the Eastern Conference Finals, where he was good against Miles Turner, who's widely regarded as a good defender. He's got some holes in his defense, but I'm just saying what he's regarded as. And Karl-Anthony Towns is a very talented basketball player who fits the timeline of this team. Kevin Durant is a phenomenal basketball legend who does not fit the timeline of this team, does not fit the financial situation for this team. And I know that I'm saying that with Karl-Anthony Towns, who has that massive contract, but Towns, he's not 37. He's not going to be signing a deal that's going to take him into his 40s with the Knicks. And that is why also Durant's contract is going to be more expensive than Towns is when he signs that extension, because he's still Kevin Durant. So what we're seeing is a situation that would not make sense for the Knicks. What we're seeing is a situation that would make sense for the Phoenix Suns. And what we're seeing is Kevin Durant and Rich Kleiman deciding that they want to go to Texas. And that's what's going to happen. He's going to get traded to a team in Texas or the Minnesota Timberwolves. I think the Timberwolves actually make the most sense for Kevin Durant, if you ask me personally. I think it makes the most sense for Durant to get traded for either a package surrounding Julius Randle and other cap filler, or you could try the Rudy Gobert thing and move forward with Naz Reid as your center. Obviously, your defense gets a lot worse in that situation, but you do become a very fluid offensive team with Edwards, Randle, Kevin Durant, Naz Reid. It's a lot of... Also, with Jaden McDaniels there, that's not a lot of guards, a lot of forwards, and a lot of guys who want to hold the basketball. So I think it makes more sense to trade Julius in this situation. But we'll see what happens. And guys, we will report on it if it has an impact on the Knicks. We have so much Knicks news to get to over these next couple of days. So you're going to see a lot of videos out on this channel. If you don't want to miss any of them, make sure to subscribe and turn on post notifications. It does help out my channel. And also, if you guys do want to see all those videos, it'll help you stay on top of things as well. Like this video. Have a great day. Go Knicks.